Hello, everyone. Today is June 1st, 2023, and this is the Cluster API Provider Azure Office Hours. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure that remember that we are following the CNCF Code of Conduct. Please be respectful and kind to everyone and raise your hand if you'd like to speak. And if you need to get access to this agenda document, you can get edit access by joining the SIG Cluster Lifecycle mailing list. With that said, let's get started. So first, we'd like to pause and welcome any new attendees or anyone who hasn't joined the meeting in a while and just wants to say hi. So I will pause in case anyone wants to say hello. All right. I think we're all familiar here. So let's keep moving. All right, so open discussion topics. So we have two so far. Feel free to add anything you'd like to discuss if it's not there. So first one is me. I wanted to just kind of go over what's going on in test grids, test failures the last few days, because there's a lot of different things that have been going on. So just wanted to recap for folks, just in case you haven't been following. Okay, so the first thing that happened is over the weekend, Frau stopped being able to schedule any jobs or any pods. So our tests, along with other project tests, stopped running for a few days. So this wasn't specific to CABZ, this was just a test infra issue. So every project was affected. So we didn't have signals approximately, I think, from Saturday to Monday morning. So that has now been resolved. I will mark status here actually, so we can know that. The second thing is some of our tests started failing to create CABZ clusters due to a public IP quota issue. This is an issue in the Azure test subscription that we use due to basically a secret expiring over the last few days, which is used to clean up any resources that get leaked by the jobs. So normally each job will delete its own resources, but if a job gets interrupted, like a test fails or times out, or someone cancels the test midway through, that will mean that the resource might not get cleaned up. So we have a job that runs in the background, a cron job that will just go and delete every resource that's outdated that has been created for more than a certain amount of time. And the secret that that job was using expired. So the job was not running anymore or failing to run. So that has been mitigated. However, there's still some work in progress to improve and I can link the cleanup repo because it's public, but there's some work in progress to migrate that to use Azure managed identities so that this doesn't happen again in the future and we don't rely on secrets that can expire. Any questions on those first two? If anyone does see any issues today on public IP quota, though, let me know, please, because I think it should be mitigated. However, I got a report last night of some issues, so just want to make sure that it's not happening again. Jack?
Thank you for that summary. I just wanted to point out, maybe someone's thinking this, have we considered increasing the number of public IPs that we have available to us in our subscription so that when these happen, we don't sort of get completely blocked for tests? Or is this in fact a sort of practical signal that our cleanup jobs aren't working? Are there any follow-ups there just in terms of public IPs in general? Because that's, who knows, if we up that limit, perhaps there's another symptom that would show up right around the corner. But have we considered anything like that?
Yeah, so we are not able to consider that option, unfortunately, because of the subscription, the way it's getting paid for, it's not able to increase any quota for resources. So that's not an option. However, I think we have never run into quota issues when the cleanup job was working. So I think this means that we have enough if we're cleaning things up as we should. And if we're not cleaning things up and leaving resources around, it's normal that they will accumulate quickly. In this case, they had been accumulating for 4 or 5 days because the secret expired on the 26th. So it did give us a buffer, and I think it was time for us to get the signal. I think ideally we would have learned about it before we start running into the issues, which is another thing to look into maybe.
Yeah, cool. That makes sense. I think that's probably a follow-up. Just sort of speaking to the fact that the public IP seems kind of random for a naive person coming to this issue. Like, why not just get more public IPs? And I think the answer
Yeah.
is it just happens to be the one thing that we typically run into first. It could be a VM SKU is not a bit, runs out of quota. It could be a million other things. The point is that if you just start accumulating leftover resources indefinitely, it's going to break.
Yep, absolutely. Um, cool. So that's that. And then the third one is interesting. So a bunch of tests started failing in test grid. I can open. Do we have the test grid? We don't. A bunch of tests are failing in test grid over the last few days after they started running again post pro issues, including some of the jobs in SIG windows, including conformance tests. There was a bit of investigation to find out what was going on. Eventually, we landed on the Calico 3.26.0 release being released. I believe Friday or very recently. Um, Unfortunately, we were still doing the use latest version thing with Calico. So we're doing a Helm install in our tests, and it installs whatever's the latest version available, which meant it picked up the new version right away. And that caused the test to start failing. So right now, the mitigation that we put in place is we merged the PR that was actually already open for another reason, which pins the Calico version to 3.25.1. So that mitigates the issue. Um, Tests should be passing again in main branch. I haven't had time to check this morning yet, but we can look together. And then that PR is in the process of getting cherry picked to the two release branches. I believe it already merged in release 1.9, and then there's a release 1.8 PR that needs to be fixed or that needs to be merged. So yeah, so that's mitigated. We haven't found the root cause yet or found how to fix it. In order to do that, we'll have to open a separate PR probably and look into why 3.26 is causing issues. Any questions on that? Okay, that's all I have. Thanks for listening. I guess Matt, you have the next topic. Go for it.
Yeah, just briefly, because it's been, I guess, almost 2 weeks since the patches came out, and we still don't have new reference images. Initially, there was a problem installing the AZ-CAPI extension to run the test part of the pipeline. Came up with a fix for that, tested it out in the pipeline, and we merged that back into Image Builder. But then when we went to run it in the real world again, a new issue had come up, which is something similar. It all kind of boils down to the timeless problem of dependencies and installing things from a package manager, in this case, pip, which is made slightly more complicated by the fact that we don't own the dependency world that the extension lives in. We only sort of own a part of it because it's an extension to the AZ-CAPI CLI itself. So anyway, long story short, a similar problem cropped up after we thought we had fixed that one. I'm going to dig into it today and try and find a workaround. And hopefully we'll get the images published in the next day or two. This shouldn't be the end of the world for anyone because, hopefully no customers are actually relying on these in any real sense. But we do try to get them out in a more timely fashion in general. So I just wanted to update everybody where we're at. And also thanks, John and Nawaz, for helping with this. And if and when, hopefully today, I come up with a new fix, I'll tag you both on the PR that probably results. but I may just go ahead and run it on the branch, assuming the fix is straightforward. We'll see. I'll see. That's all. Any questions about that? Nope. David?
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Not a
Yeah.
question, but just a comment. I don't know if you saw, but there's an issue that was being investigated in CAPI for 127.2 having issues with CAPI clusters.
Just in
So
general
that
in
might be
127.2?
interesting since we're trying to publish it. If there is an issue, it might be worth to hold on that.
Yeah, that would be
At
good to
least on
see.
that
We
one.
haven't gotten as far as provisioning a cluster from 127.2 yet. So if it's something major, we should see it in the pipeline. But I'll take
This
a
one.
look.
Yes, in case you run into that in the pipeline.
Cool. Thanks for the heads up. All right, David, you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. I know this is probably closer to a cluster API thing, but I thought I would just lob it out there since I wasn't able to make the call yesterday. So I noticed the cluster API operator has an independent install of cert manager, which is obviously different than the cluster CTL installation method. And I was just kind of curious of the dependency or the implications of that, because that seems pretty different. Like what would happen if the cert manager version was different than whatever cluster CTL's version was, comparing to, let's say, the CAPZ infrastructure provider thing, or cluster API itself. Does that, I mean, couldn't there theoretically be a problem there?
So I'll raise my hand. I don't have the answer. However, I did see that Alexander, who is one of the main people who worked on the cluster API operator, posted in Slack this morning saying that he's seen interest pick up on the project and that he'd like to set up a meeting to discuss.
Yeah.
So that might be a good opportunity for you to join that and ask that question.
Yeah,
Other questions?
I follow up his doodle, so I just thought I would throw it out there to the group. But yeah, no problem. I can just join whenever that call happens, hopefully next week. So, ASO, thank you, John. Yeah, so ASO depends on cert manager and documents, installing it separately. Okay, that's good to know. That's an interesting thing, yeah. So it'd be, at some point, it'd be good to evaluate with the ASO dependency stuff, how that might work or not with the operator. I'm trying to get the operator working. And so once I have that going, I guess maybe I can report back and let people know where it's at, and as well as, of course, once I have the meeting, just kind of the results of where things are there. But I could totally see how an operator should theoretically be a good alternative, because our previous conversations with the cluster API was people need a Helm chart. I don't think we should have a separate one. I think the operator should probably be the way that people do that, as opposed to create yet another way to install cluster API. So yeah.
Awesome, thanks. Anyone have any comments or questions for David or any other topics? All right. So that brings us to the end of the agenda. Do we want to do milestone review and or PR triage review, or get some time back? We'll leave it up for vote.
I would just vote to at least cover the 3 PRs that are in no status mode.
Is that part of the PR triage?
Yeah, that's in the PR triage board. Yeah, so if you click on that, looks like there's 3 that are currently under no status.
Got it. What does that mean when there are no status? Does it just mean
That means no one's actually looked at them and added a status. You don't, so we don't know if they're blocked, if they're waiting on the author, if they're needing review, or they're in
I
progress.
see. Okay. Got it. We can go through those. So this one is that's the first, the last one is the easiest. It's the one I was talking about earlier to fix the test. That's the cherry pick into the release branch. That one I believe is still blocked. Yeah. So I need to merge first the PR that fixes the broken links cherry pick, and then that will be able to merge. So I will mark this as blocked.
Well, it would be, but you're just, it's just waiting on you to do something. You're not blocked from merging it, right? Or are you?
I'm blocked from merging it because the test is failing, and in order for the test to not be failing, I need that other PR to get reviewed
Oh,
and
okay.
merged.
Okay, got it. Yep.
But I mean, it should be unblocked very quickly.
Okay, yeah.
That helps.
Yep.
And then this one I think just needs review. I don't think anyone's looked at that yet. Oh. Feel free to, I can't really see everyone when I'm sharing screen, so feel free to interrupt if I'm miscalculating one of them. Where is it? This one. Yeah, I think this is a brand new PR. So it needs to be reviewed. And then this one is a dependabot update for Cloudwriter, which I don't think we can merge because of this change. So I am going to put this on hold. And then we can mark it as blocked. That's correct, right? Does anyone know it? Yeah, okay. Yep, so that's it for the PRs that don't have status. Should we go over the blocked PRs?
Yeah.
All right, starting from the top, this one, I believe Jonathan said he was starting to work on this again, so I don't think it's blocked anymore. I would move this to in progress, unless there are objections. I don't think Jonathan's here. Okay. Cluster board for managed clusters. I think that is still blocked, correct, Willie?
Yeah, so I picked up working on the CAPI implementation, so still blocked on that, and I'm still waiting on Richard to send his his existing work. So I'm
Okay.
kind of double blocked, but yeah.
Got it.
I'll ping him again.
We don't have a double block status, so I'll just leave it as blocked.
I'll send another ping to try and get that moving. But yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Let's see. Proposal to publish rough images to compute galleries.
Yeah, I think we marked this block because we were worried about the potential costs. I don't have specific numbers, but I'm reassured that they're not large. And I did a little back and forth with Mateus because they're doing this for Flatcar, and he didn't think the costs have been anything to. So we can leave it blocked if we really want some specific numbers, but I think in general the proposal can probably move forward because I doubt it's going to be a significant line item, even if we replicate everywhere.
Got it. So the PR is still marked as draft, so I will put it as in progress for now, and then as soon as it's not draft anymore, it's ready for review. Feel free to move it to needs review.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Nawaz is not here. Does anyone recall why this was marked as blocked? Oh, it's blocked
It's a
on this
comment.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. I will follow up on this one offline. I will leave it for now. I assume this is the same API bump thing. Yep. So we also can't bump this one. this is what we just moved to blocked. So these two are good. Anything, any call outs, anything else? Or did I miss anything? Okay. Does anyone have anything they want to call out from the other sections? Are all these in progress, still actively being worked on, still in progress?
I guess technically number 19 there is blocked until we sort out the off stuff on existing SDK v2, right? So this is blocked.
Thanks. Otherwise, they're all draft or work in progress. So cool. We have a couple that need review. So if you're looking for PRs to review, I think those are good candidates. And then waiting on author. Cool. David, is there anything else that we should be looking at? Ashutosh, go ahead.
Hi, folks. I joined late. Sorry about that. So, Cecil, do you think it will be a good time for the workload identity proposal to start lazy consensus like next week?
Yeah, let's look at that real quick. Where was it at? Yeah, I think, by the way, thank you so much for splitting it up. I think it's a lot easier to review now. And I would be in favor of starting to move it forward, even if we don't switch everything over yet. I think it would be great to make incremental progress. Yes, oops, this one had a lot of comments. So there are lots of comments here. Yeah.
There are a couple of comments from Anis, and that's mostly related to, I think, wording or spellings, I guess. So that I'll add to that. Otherwise, I think it looks good.
Okay. Could you please resolve all the conversations that are outdated or no longer relevant? And then that way we can have a clear view of if there are any comments that are still active. And
sure,
I will take another pass today. If anyone else also has is able to take another pass, that'd be great. And then I think we can start the lazy consensus. No need to wait for another meeting. We can just start async.
Sure. So what I'll do is I'll resolve all the comments that are outdated, and then there are a couple of minor comments from Anis. I'll incorporate them, and then I'll ping on Slack that we can get a pause.
Yeah, sounds great. Cool. We can aim for maybe end of next week.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any questions or concerns about this? Cool. Anything else?
I just wanted to say one more thing.
Yeah.
Regarding the PR that Matt has raised.
Which PR?
That tries to fix the
identity thing. Yeah, this.
Yeah, maybe folks can take a look over this PR because otherwise this will block the workload identity implementation PR. I have put some thoughts onto this as comments. I have seen a notification that Matt has responded, so I didn't get back again, but it will be good if some of us take a look onto this. So if this gets merged or we resolve how we want to take this SDK to think forward, then it will be easy for us to merge the workload identity PR going forward.
Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the comments. And I didn't think we were going to merge this as is. I was just trying to sort out the behavior we wanted. But I see you. Oh, okay. Actually, I didn't follow that comment. So I'll follow up on this today. Sorry, I was out until today.
No problem. Thanks, David. Just wanted to bring this into light.
Thank you.
So just for my own understanding, is the issue that in the new SDK, the order of precedence is always to use environment variables first if they're available. But in our case, we don't want to do that because if we have Azure Cluster Identity, we want to use that instead.
Yeah. So the deeper problem is, the workload identity authentication code that is there. The current implementation does not allow to pass tenant ID and client ID. So what happens is, if you have tenant ID and client ID mentioned on Azure Cluster Identity, as well as if you have tenant ID and client ID passed via environment variables, then what happens is that the SDK workflow does not respect what is specified on Azure Cluster Identity, and it just takes whatever was in environment variable, and it fails. So if you have different, let's say if you have incorrect tenant ID and client ID set on environment variables, but you have correct tenant ID and client ID set on Azure Cluster Identity, then the current SDK v2 implementation will fail for workload identity. I have
Got it.
Matt, I don't have access to laptops, so sorry. There was an issue where I have posted a detailed write-up on the behavior. So maybe that can help to understand.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, I think it's linked to this. It's pretty detailed.
This might be a long shot, but we just Mark and I worked on a PR yesterday to switch the RD cleanup tool that I was just talking about earlier in the meeting to use SDK v2, and we ended up doing something a bit different for the client. So this is only supporting client secret though right now, but we're doing a get client or new client secret credential, which takes tenant ID, client ID, and client secret instead of new default credential.
Yeah. I mean, my take is also that this should have a wrapper before calling the SDK to default functions, where we specify the behavior that we want, because the current method of chaining the credentials kind of violates the Azure Cluster Identity API semantics. For example, if you have specified workload identity, or let's say service principal on Azure Cluster Identity, it doesn't respect. It will just go and try to authenticate to the first successful one in the chain. So let's say if you have mentioned workload identity, but the first in the chain, the first one is env, and if env succeeds, it just succeeds silently and does not even try workload identity. So this is also, I put a comment on the current PR. So.
Okay. Thanks for the explanation. All right, Ashutosh, I think you missed the beginning of the meeting, but just for your information, there's a bunch of issues and tests that were going on that we kind of recapped at the beginning. So if you're seeing any of those in your PR, it's probably related to one of these three things.
Sure. Also, I'll follow up with the recording.
Cool. Thanks. All right. Anything else? Anyone else have any last minute topics? Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and hope you have a good rest of your day. And here's 25 minutes back.
Thanks, Cecil.
Thanks, Cecil.
Thanks.
Bye.